Hello everyone, this is Tushita Gupta, ACCA affiliate, and we are continuing with our PM revision series. This is the video for chapter number 7. Let's get started. Chapter 7, and the name of the chapter is Pricing. So we talk about pricing in this chapter over here. Basically, there are like a lot of subtopics in this chapter, pertaining to how we are supposed to price our products. So I am into the manufacturing of a product, and I have made it. I have manufactured it, or maybe thought of my product, and now I'm thinking what should be the price that I should be charging for the product that I produce and sell. So over here, we will be talking about what are the factors we consider, and how there are different methods of pricing. So some people price their products using competitors' pricing. Some people want to penetrate into the market, so they want to offer the same products as the competitors at an even lower rate, so that they are able to acquire a lot of market share from the competitors, and so on. So we will be studying about what all are the strategies that there are. So first of all, whenever we talk about the market, there are two types of markets which can exist. Firstly, there can be a perfect competition, which usually is not the case in real life, because somewhere or the other, someone will have a competitive advantage, and the characteristics that we will now study of a perfect competition are not really, possible in the real life. And then we will also study about the imperfect competition, and I will also try to give you examples of the same. Let's first get to the characteristics of perfect competition. Right. So whenever we talk about a perfect competition, there will be certain characteristics of that competition, as in what makes it a perfect competition. So the first thing is that every buyer or seller is a price taker. So that means that the price is set by the market. No one entirely has control over what the prices are going to be. So what do we mean by a price taker? Price taker is when, the prices are set by the market. No buyer will be in the position to change that price, what the market price is going on, and no seller will be able to change that. The price is something which will be decided by the market, and every seller and buyer has to take that price. They will not be able to set their own prices. Then let's come to the second characteristics in such markets. So there are zero entry or exit barriers. So let's first understand what entry barriers are. So basically, entry barriers are any barriers in the market which a person, if a new producer wants to enter the market, these are the barriers that a person will, a firm who wishes to enter the market will face. So probably let's talk about a manufacturing setup. So if I want to set up, let's suppose, manufacturing of cars. So cars are, setting up such a production facility where cars can be produced. This involves a lot of capital. So only people who have that sort of capital will be able to enter. So this becomes an entry barrier. Then let's talk about an exit barrier. So exit barrier will be any barrier which will be faced by any producer who wishes to exit from the market, who wishes to cease to produce the goods. So there are barriers when it comes to that also. He may be under a contractual obligation to provide some sort of quantities of the products that he makes to some other party. So these are some of the exit barriers that firms can also face. So in a perfect competition, there will be no entry or exit barriers. So no entry, no exit barriers, totally free market. Then the third point that we have is perfect information. Now, what do we mean by perfect information? Basically, perfect information means that the buyers and sellers are completely aware of all sorts of things in the market. So the buyers have, if I am going to buy some product under perfect competition, I will know that this is the price that is going on in the market. I will not give any higher price than that. And even sellers will be aware of everything which is going around in the market. Like I said, perfect competition does not really exist in real life. It's very difficult that perfect competition will ever exist in real life, because even in today's times where information is available on the internet readily, there will still be people who will not have all of the information. Then the fourth point is that the companies aim to maximize their profits. Companies aim to maximize profits. So again, this is something which remains common to all sorts of competitions. Profit is one thing which remains constant, and no matter what you do, every firm is in the business to make some profit, and this is also a characteristic of perfect competition. Then the fifth point is homogeneous products. Homogeneous products. Now, what do we mean by homogeneous products is that the products which are being sold in the market, they will be of a same nature. So if some sort of car is being sold, so that car is going to have the same features, the same pricing and everything. All of the things which the market in the market, all of the sellers are going to sell the same sort of product. There's not going to be any differentiator in the products that they sell. So again, in real life, this becomes very difficult, because the different sorts of firms are always trying to differentiate their products so that they are able to sell more of their products. So Apple is always coming out with innovations to sell more of their products. Samsung is again on a beat to do something which Apple has not done. So recently, fold phones were released by Samsung, and Apple still does not have any sort of technology like that. So this is how perfect competition is very difficult to exist in real life. These are just the characteristics which the economists have, in their approaches, they have assumed that there will be perfect competition. Again, all of these assumptions become the limitations of those models, because, like I'm saying, perfect competition is not really possible in real life. Now we talk about imperfect competition. Imperfect competition. So again, there will be types of imperfect competition that we study about. So all of the characteristics which we have learned over here about perfect competition, all of these characteristics will not exist under imperfect competition. So under imperfect competition, we are going to be talking about three types of situations which can exist. So the first one is a monopoly, second one is oligopoly, and the third one is monopolistic. So let's first talk about monopoly. Monopoly. So under a monopoly, basically, as the name suggests, mono means one. So under a monopoly, there will only be one seller. So because there's only one seller that is selling the product, it is it's going to be on the seller to decide what price he's going to sell at, what is the features of the products that he's going to be offering. So over here, the seller takes the whole power. So like we discussed that under perfect competition, every buyer or seller is a price taker. However, under a monopoly, the seller becomes the price giver and the buyer becomes the price taker. So because only one seller is there providing that products to the customers, so it's totally up to him that what is the price he's going to sell the product at, because no one else in the market is selling that. So that person is like the king. I am deciding what I want to sell and how much I want to sell it at. So the people who are buying it do not have much power. If they want that product, because only one seller is offering that, they have to take it at whatever price the monopoly person is selling it at. So to understand with an example, so basically in India, railways are under the government. So no one apart from the government can run trains within the country, like long distance trains between different states. So the government over here more or less has a monopoly when it comes to the pricing of the tickets. So usually, because it's a government undertaking and the government aims to maximize the welfare of the people, the prices are set low. But again, this is a very good example of monopoly, saying that since no one else has the rights to run the trains in India, it's only with the government. The government has the sole power to run trains. Another thing which can possibly become an example of monopoly is that in one of the states in India, there is only one organization which has been given the authority to produce and sell electricity within that state. So because only that firm has the authority to produce and sell electricity, that firm becomes one firm. So that firm has the sole power to set what prices they want to sell electricity at. So again, this becomes an example of monopoly. However, in real life, there are restrictions set on them by the government also, that beyond this price they cannot charge so high prices, because ultimately everyone, electricity has become more or less like a basic requirement for everyone. So it's become the government has given them some price ceilings above which they are not supposed to sell electricity. So this was about monopoly. Then the second thing that we talk about is oligopoly. So when it comes to oligopoly, it is similar to monopoly, but over here, like in monopoly, there was only one firm. In oligopoly, there will be two or three firms, mostly two, or can be three can be there also. So again, like I was giving the example of Apple and Samsung. So basically, these are the two major market holders of the phones industry. So these people have more or less like an oligopoly. Another very good example when it comes to oligopoly is Pepsi and Coke. They are both sellers of soft drink, top sellers. They have, roughly equal market share, probably 50-50. I'm not sure of the numbers, but they have like a significant part of the market share, both of them, and they're constantly competing. One's pricing always affects others' pricing also, because people are habitual. If Coke gets expensive, they're probably going to switch to Pepsi. So this is how the pricing of these also affects each other's pricing when it comes to oligopoly. Then the third thing which we talk about is a monopolistic competition. Monopolistic competition. Now, under this sort of competition, it is similar to oligopoly, but the products over here will be similar but not identical. The producers, the sellers are the price setters, but no business has total control over the market price. So basically, this is what the closest to the market scenario currently in the real world where we live is. There will be similar but not identical products. So probably if I talk about, let's suppose, washing machines. So maybe there's a washing machine that Samsung is offering. Maybe there's a washing machine that, let's suppose, Philips is offering. So under these scenarios, the products are identical, but they will be, they will be not exactly the same, because again, the firms are always trying to differentiate by putting in some extra features, some different features, which are not there in the remaining of the products. So these are the three scenarios which can possibly exist under imperfect competition. Now, when it comes to pricing of the products, let's see what the economist's approach is. Economist's approach. So the first approach is your algebraic approach. Algebraic approach. And under this approach, you are equating your MC, marginal cost, with MR to find out the pricing. So where the price at which marginal cost equals your marginal revenue, that is where you will be setting the prices at. Then the second approach when it comes to this is price is equals to A minus BQ. Under this scenario, A is your current price plus the current quantity divided by the change. So I will just write the formula so that it becomes easier. A is basically your current price plus current quantity upon change in quantity multiplied by change in price. So this is the formula for how you work out A, and then B is the change in price due to the change in demand. So change in price divided by change in demand. So this is how you work out the price using this method. P is equals to A minus BQ. Then the third method that we have is we equate MR with this. MR equals to A minus 2BQ. So this is another pricing strategy. And then under the economist's approach, your maximum profit will be at MC is equals to MR. So the point at which your marginal cost is equal to your marginal revenue, at that point you're going to have the maximum profit. Now let's discuss what are the few pricing methods on which the firms can price their products. So first of all, let's talk about cost plus pricing. Cost plus pricing. So, like the name suggests, under this pricing, we are just taking the cost of the product and then adding some sort of a profit margin on it to arrive at the selling price of the commodity. So, over here, again, there is a conflict that, which cost should we be using? Should we be using the actual cost? Should we be using the standard cost? Should we be using the marginal cost? Should we be using the full cost? Or should we be using just the relevant costs? So over here again, this becomes problematic sometimes, that which cost are we supposed to base our prices on. Then another method of pricing your products is customer based pricing. So over here under customer based pricing, again, as the name suggests, what we are trying to do is that we are trying to see how much, we're trying to reflect how much value the customer is getting out of the product that we are selling to the customer. So perhaps if I am, buying something, probably let's suppose a laptop for myself. So how much value am I getting from that laptop is something that they will try to base their price on. Again, this becomes difficult because every customer may have a different use for their laptop, so that is why this sort of pricing can also have some sort of problems. Then another sort of pricing is competition based pricing. So over here, the pricing, what I'm going to sell my product at is going to get affected, is going to get influenced by how much my competitors are selling that product for. So let's suppose if Pizza Hut is selling a pizza for, let's suppose, 300 rupees, then Domino's will also probably try to price its pizza according to that, because they are, sort of existing under more or less a oligopoly over here in India. So this is how these two firms can use competition based pricing. Then another sort of pricing which we have is market skimming. Market skimming pricing. So under here, what we are doing is we are first of all, over here, different prices are charged under different stages of the product. So basically, whenever I am introducing the product, I am charging higher prices. I am skimming out the money from the richer people. So charging higher prices when the product is first launched to maximize my short-term profits. And once people have stopped or more or less stopped buying my product at such a high price, then I reduce the prices so that the people who have earlier not been able to buy my product at the higher price will now come and buy that because I'm now offering that at a reduced price. So this is what we follow in market skimming pricing. Now this is when will this be suitable? So the suitability is when first of all, when I have a new different product and little direct competition. So, because my product is something new, is something different from what is already available in the market, I will not really have a lot of competition because I am offering something which is not there in the market as of now. Maybe similar products, but something I have done new, something different. So, in such a scenario, even if I sell it at a higher price, people are still going to buy it because there's no other seller who's selling this new different product that I have come up with. Now, second scenario under which there will the market skimming pricing will be suitable is when the products have a short life cycle. So basically, what do we mean by short cycle? Is that the product which I have made probably does not have a lot of the life of the product is small. The you know the relevance or the value that people will get out of it is only in today's times, and later on it'll not be so important or not be so new. So over here, charging higher prices in the beginning makes sense because once people become used to it, they probably won't pay a lot of money for it. So second point can be products with shorter lifespan. So this is my second suitability. Now let's talk about another situation in which this can be suitable. So when the strength of demand and price elasticity of demand are unknown. So basically, if I do not know how much my demand and price elasticity of demand are correlated to each other, price elasticity, that I don't know if how much I charge, that's going to affect how much demand I'm going to get. So under such situation also, you can experiment using market skimming pricing by charging a higher product in the beginning and then maybe bringing it down lower to exploit that portion of the market which has not yet bought the product which you are selling. Then the fourth suitability is when a firm with liquidity problems. So probably if I am a firm and I'm experiencing liquidity problems, so to resolve my problem in the short term, I can probably sell my products at higher prices. If I sell the products at higher prices, I'm going to get more cash coming in to me at the moment, which will solve my short term liquidity problem and help me with the cash flows. Now let's talk about the next pricing strategy, which is the penetration pricing strategy. Penetration pricing strategy. So, like the name suggests, we're trying to penetrate into an already established market. So, this strategy involves initially charging very low prices so that the people are, instantly attracted towards buying my product because of the limited, because of the small selling price, the low price. And this will help me to gain rapid acceptance of the product. So, basically, think of an example where, let's suppose, a pen is selling in the market for, let's suppose, 15 rupees. Now I, because I'm a new manufacturer and I want to enter the market, I want everyone to buy my pen, so probably I will sell a pen which I have manufactured for, let's suppose, 5 rupees. So in such a scenario, the pen is, going to give the same value to the customer. So instead of buying the pen for 15 rupees, they will probably try my pen because it comes at one third the cost. So over here, I'm charging low prices initially so that I gain a lot of rapid acceptance of the product. Now, under which scenario will it be suitable? Let's also discuss that, the suitability of this strategy. This strategy will first be suitable when the firm wants to increase the market share. Increase the market share. So obviously, like I told you, penetration usually helps newer firms. So if I'm a new firm and I want to have a good market share, so this pricing strategy will help me increase my market share. Another point of suitability is when the firm wants to discourage new products from new entrants from entering the market. Discourage new entrants. So this means, if my product is already priced at 5 rupees, so if a manufacturer wants to enter the market and his cost itself of producing the pen is, let's suppose, 8 rupees, so he will not be able to sell the pen at 5 rupees in, except the scenario where he's selling it at a loss. So if I am using a penetration pricing strategy, this will also discourage the new firms from entering into the market. So another type of suitability of this pricing strategy is when the demand is highly elastic. Highly elastic. So what do we mean by a highly elastic demand? That the people are responding very fast to the changes in pricing. So even if the price goes down by 1 rupee, the demand increases by a lot. And even if the price goes up by, let's suppose, only 1 rupee, a lot of people stop buying the product. So this penetration pricing strategy will also be useful in a scenario where your demand is highly elastic, because you're charging a very low price, people will instantly buy your product when it comes to a highly elastic demand. Then fourth suitability for this strategy will be when economies of scale can be achieved with the high volume of output. Economies of scale. So basically, what do we mean by economies of scale is that perhaps I'm incurring, let's suppose, a fixed cost of $50,000 in manufacturing 500 pens. Now, even if I manufacture, let's suppose, 1,000 pens, the fixed cost of $50,000 remain the same. So when I am producing this pens at a very high level of output, I will ultimately get economies of scale now, because the fixed cost per unit is very reduced. It's gotten half, because earlier I was producing 500 units at a fixed cost of 50,000, and now I'm producing 1,000 units, which the fixed cost remains the same. So the fixed cost per unit actually comes down because I'm producing in a large number of quantity. So this is what we mean by economies of scale. And there are also, some raw material discounts which I may be able to negotiate, because I will be producing the goods in a big quantity. So when we are bulk buying, there are also bulk discounts available, which also contribute to the economies of scale. Now, this is what we have learned about the penetration pricing strategy. Now, let's talk about the complementary product pricing. Now, as the name suggests, complementary. Complementary is something when you are giving two products together. So basically, this pricing strategy is used where two products are often used or sold together. So maybe if I am selling laptops, I may have a complementary product pricing strategy where I possibly sell, let's suppose, headphones that people often use with the laptops. So I am combining these two products together, putting on a good offer on the combination, providing a complementary product pricing. Then another type of pricing which we have is the product line pricing. So usually this pricing will occur when a company must decide the price differences between the upgrades of a product or service. So basically, let's talk about a washing machine. So this is a, let's suppose, a semi-automatic, and this is a fully automatic, and this is a completely manual machine. So under a manual machine, let's suppose this will be for $1,000. Then if it's a semi-automatic one, it comes at $1,500, and if it's a fully automatic one, then it comes at, let's suppose, $2,500. So basically this is a product line. As in when the product is getting upgraded, the pricing is also following the similar pattern. So this is how product line pricing works. Now, let's also talk about another pricing strategy, which is volume discounting. Volume discounting pricing strategy. So under this strategy, you are offering a lower price per unit if a customer is purchasing a particular quantity of the product. So this is usually followed, at a lot of places, I would say. So let's suppose if you are selling, let's suppose, printer paper. So you are telling your customer that if you buy, let's suppose, 100 sheets of paper, I will give it to you for $2 for one sheet. And if you are buying, let's suppose, 500 sheets of paper, the I will give you $1 per sheet. So this is how you're changing the price per unit if the customer is buying a specific particular quantity of the product which you are selling. So the benefits that this strategy will give you is that the customer loyalty will be there, because the customer is getting a good discount because of the, even if it's because of the volume, you will get customer loyalty because the customer will come to you and will buy in bulk quantities. So customer loyalty remains one benefit under this method. Another benefit which you have is attracting new customers. So people will tell other people that, I went to this store and they are giving this much of discount if we buy this much of the quantity. So this will also help you attract new customers. Then another benefit under this pricing strategy which you can have is lower sales processing cost. Now let me explain how is that going to be. Lower sales processing costs. So usually, if you are not giving any sorts of quantity discounts, the customers will be buying in small quantities, and that will lead to a lot of small value transactions. So even if the transactions are small in value, there are processing costs that businesses have to incur. The bills have to be generated and everything. But now that the number of transactions will be less, because in each transaction the quantity will be more. So if quantities are more, the number of sales transactions will be lesser because now the quantity is high. So the number of transactions now you process will be small. The bills will be generated at once for a big amount of quantity, and this is how your sales processing costs will also go down. Another advantage that you have is lower purchasing costs. Now again, how will this be there? Now you are selling in bulk quantities. Now you will also be buying in bulk quantities, buying from whoever is your supplier. So the suppliers will also start giving you bulk discounts, and the one time cost which comes, probably the cost of delivery, the cost of sending the goods from the supplier to us will also be lesser because we will be ordering more quantity at once. So this is how this will also lead to lower purchasing costs. Then another benefit will be clearance of surplus stocks or unpopular items. So perhaps, uh, you know, if I have ordered a huge quantity and I am not, if I am not offering any sorts of reduced price on a higher quantity, there will not, there is a possibility that my stock gets piled up. I am not able to make that sort of sales if I am not offering this sort of a scheme. So, under this strategy, where we are giving a lower price to the customer per unit if they are buying a huge quantity, this will lead to like the faster clearance of the surplus stock which is lying with me. Then another benefit that can possibly arise out of this method is that you can sell items that are brought primarily on price. So, selling items that are bought primarily on price. So perhaps there are some items on which you were probably you were making a loss or not making any profit, but even that you are supposed to sell off. It's not getting piling up with you for a longer period of time because you are using this volume discounting price strategy. Now, the last benefit which we talk about in this strategy is that the discounts can be geared to particular off-peak periods. So let me explain this point. Discounts in off-peak periods. So basically, in every business, in every sort of industry, there are specific time periods under which there is a huge demand, and then there are also time periods where the demand is lean, the demand is not so much. So think of let's suppose a woolens manufacturer. So woolens manufacturer will be definitely selling a lot of goods in the winter season, but as soon as it's summers, the nobody is going to buy the woolen clothes. So under such a scenario where summers are going on, so if they put in a volume discounting pricing strategy, there are a higher chances that these discounts will lead to like profit for the business, because in such off peak periods the customers may get attracted because of these sort of pricing strategy. Now, these are the benefits. Let's also talk about the suitability. So, in which scenario will this pricing strategy be suitable? The first scenario is that the sales margin are substantial, is substantial. So this will only be profitable if the difference that you have in your purchase price and your selling price is more, because now that you're going to be offering discounts, so you should be able to make a profit even after all the discounts that you have given to your customers. So it will only be suitable when the margin which you have on the products that you sell is a good amount. Then the second point which we can discuss under the suitability is that your product is bought on price and it is difficult to distinguish from the competing products. So, the product should be something which usually people are also able to buy in the market. It's like the competitor products. It's not very, different. It's difficult to distinguish. It's very similar to what the competing products are also selling. So, under such a scenario, the volume discounting pricing strategy will be suitable for you. Another suitability of this strategy will be when the products have a when you are discounting such products which have a limited lifespan, limited shelf life. So what do we mean by this point? The products which cannot be stored for a longer duration of time. Let's suppose yogurt. So yogurt does not have a very long shelf life because it's already containing of the fermented bacteria and everything. So it cannot be stored for a very long time. It then goes curdle. So such discounts can also be used on those products which have a limited shelf life, because using these discounts will fasten up the process of the selling of these products, and hence it will be suitable in such a scenario. Now we talk about another pricing strategy which is called the price discrimination. This is the last topic for this chapter. Price discrimination pricing strategy. Now, what exactly is this strategy? So, like the name is suggesting, price discrimination. There is a discrimination in the prices that we are charging from the different types of consumers. So, basically, the company is selling one same product in different markets, and in different markets, they are charging different prices. So, basically, from the people who can pay higher prices, they are charging higher prices, and from the people who are, let's suppose, not as rich, they are charging lower prices. So this is a strategy which is mostly used by the people who are selling in the textile industry, so people who are selling women's clothing. So usually they will probably put nice tags and pack them nicely for the people in the higher society, and for the people who belong to the lower sections of the society, they will probably not pack it so nicely. The product remains the same, but the way they present it, that's different. So that is how they are charging different prices in different markets. Even Apple does that. So Apple in US sells its iPhones for a cheaper price, but in markets like India and China, they are selling their iPhones at a higher prices. So there also we see the price discrimination pricing strategy being used. So when let's also discuss when this will be suitable. So suitability will be, first of all, when the seller has the monopoly. Seller has monopoly power. So in a scenario where the seller has monopoly power, the people will not be able to control, because there's only one seller who's selling the product that they want. So they will have to pay whatever price the seller is charging from them. Then let's also talk about another suitability. Another suitability will be when the people who are using the strategy are able to segregate their customers. So ability to segregate customers. So what do we mean by the ability to segregate their customers? So this means basically that they are able to differentiate, they are able to segregate, tell apart between the customers. So now Apple does this geographically. It's very easy to geographically separate your customers because they're lying in different countries. So it's very much possible for the companies to charge different prices in different countries. Then another suitability will be when customers cannot buy at a lower price and sell at the higher price in the other market. Customers cannot buy at low price and sell higher in another market. Sell at higher in another market. So basically, what do we mean by that is, it's only going to work in a scenario where people are not taking advantage of this fact that somewhere it's available for a lower price and somewhere it's available for a higher price. So a customer who's very smart will buy it from the market where it is available at a low price, and will go to the market where higher prices are charged and sell it off over there, so making the profit between the difference. If such a practice begins to happen, then again the seller loses his power. So it will only be suitable where customers cannot buy at the low price in one market and sell at the higher price in another market. Then the fourth point is that it is particularly effective for services. Now, this point is pretty self explanatory that when it comes to providing services, it's more easy to charge different prices from different people. The thing is saying that, let's suppose talk about manicures or pedicures. So, there can be a possibility where people say that, the care that your feet or your hand require is more than the other people. So, that is why we are charging a higher price from you. So, this is particularly effective when it comes to services. Then let's also talk about the fifth point, which is existence of different price elasticities of demand in different markets. Different price elasticities of demands in different markets. So basically, this will also be more helpful where the elasticity of demand is differing in different markets. So in one market, the people are more responsive to change in the prices. So over there, lowering your prices will help to improve your sales. And where the elasticity is not so much, people do not care how much they are paying. In those markets, you can charge definitely higher prices. Now, let's also discuss what are the dangers of using this pricing strategy. There are obviously dangers associated with this, pricing strategy. Number one is that there might be a development of a black market. So usually, if you see people who go to US, they will buy iPhones in bulk from there, bring it to India, and sell them at the higher prices because in US they're available for a cheaper price. So there may be a development of a black market. Now, there are a few measures that the government is also placing to prevent this from happening, but no matter how many measures you put in, Indian people always find a way out. Then, another danger when it comes over here is that competitors can join the market and undercut the firm's prices. So basically, if Apple is selling at a higher price over here, there may be a competitor who sells it at lower prices, and this will eventually lead the firm, even Apple, to have to reduce their prices, although this seems like a far-fetched situation over here because people are completely habitual and obsessed with Apple. So competitors can undercut prices. Then the last danger that can possibly arise using this method is that customers in the higher priced brackets will probably look for alternatives and the demand will become more elastic with time. So earlier, the people who were not caring a lot about the price may get to know about cheaper alternatives available in the market. Alternatives, so the people earlier who were paying higher prices may get cheaper alternatives, and gradually this will increase the price elasticity of demand in the markets where you were charging higher prices, and this can lead to losing out of revenue because they will switch for the cheaper alternatives. So with this, we are done with the chapter number 7 of your PM syllabus. I hope that this was helpful in your revision for your PM exam. We will catch you in the next video for the next chapter. All the very best for your preparation. Thank you so much for watching.